All right, folks, in this next video, we're going to talk about how to understand lines that are parallel or perpendicular to another line. So let's say that you're told that there's a line. Let's see here. Consider the line y minus 7 equals 4 times x plus 6. Okay? By the way, what point does this equation pass through? This is point-slope form, right? Do you know what the slope is of this equation? Do you know what point it passes through? Okay? Well, there's the slope. We know our formula has the slope right in front of the parenthesis with the x minus x1. So here the slope is 4. And what point does it pass through? Okay, well, there's the y value and there's the x value. But do you notice that this says x plus 6? And remember, our formula is x minus x1. So that means that the sign was changed. So this must be a negative 6. So we got negative 6, and then we have the point y minus 7. It's normally a negative, right? It's normally y minus y1. So that means y1 is 7, positive 7. So it's 6, 7. So this line passes through the point negative 6 and 7 with a slope of 4. Okay? All right, now it's important to know that, because what we're about to talk about is, can we identify a line that is parallel to this line and another line that is perpendicular to this line? Okay? Well, yeah, that's really easy. In fact, I'm going to write 2 columns here. We're going to try to understand what qualities parallel lines have and what qualities perpendicular lines have. All right? Parallel, in fact, when I look at parallel, I remember parallel based on the 2 L's. Do you see those 2 L's right next to each other? They're actually parallel to each other. Parallel lines, they run in the same direction and they never touch each other, but they're also not on top of each other, they're next to each other. They never touch. Okay? Parallel lines, here's the deal. They have the same slope. They have the same slope. Okay, that's something that you need to remember. So, if I want to write the equation of a line that is parallel to this line, it's just going to have the same slope. So it's going to have a slope of 4. And what if this line, this other line, what if I said that this other line, okay, let's write the equation of a line that's parallel to this line and passes through the point negative 6 and 11. Okay? Passes through the point negative 6 and 11. Well, in order to write the equation of a line, I would like to have a point and a slope. So I can write it in point-slope form. Well, here's the point, negative 6 and 11. I just need the slope. Well, if this line is parallel to this line, it has the same slope, which means a slope of 4. With a point, with a slope, I can write the equation of the line. So it's going to be y minus 11 equals slope 4 times x minus negative 6, right? Minus negative 6. Well, minus negative means positive. So we're going to get rid of the negative sign here, make it x plus 6. There's the equation of the line that's parallel to this line and passes through the point negative 6 and 11. All right, how about this? Let's talk about perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines have, ready? Here's our statement. Opposite, which means positive and negative, opposite reciprocal. Opposite reciprocal slope. Okay, well, let me put the word slope on here too. Opposite reciprocal slope. What that means is this, that if something has a slope of 2/3, if a line has a slope of 2/3, the opposite of 2/3 is negative 2/3. The reciprocal of 2/3, flip this over, is 3/2. So, opposite, reciprocal, the slope, or the slope of the line that's perpendicular to the line that has a slope of 2/3 has a slope of -3/2. Okay, that would be a line that is perpendicular. Okay, so opposite reciprocal slope. So what is the opposite of 4? -4. Well, what is the reciprocal of 4? Well, 4 is the same thing as 4/1, so the reciprocal would be 1/4. So opposite would mean negative, reciprocal would mean 1/4. So the opposite reciprocal of 4 is -1/4. Okay? This would be a perpendicular line. Okay? So if you were asked to identify a line, or the equation of a line that is perpendicular, okay, and to that line, and passes through, let's say it passes through the point 417. Passes through the point 417. Well, to write it in point slope form, we need a point, which we have, and we need a slope. Well, if we know it's perpendicular, that gives us the slope. The slope of a perpendicular line is going to be the opposite reciprocal. The opposite reciprocal of 4 is m equals -1/4. So the equation of our line is going to be y minus the y value, y minus 17, equals the slope, -1/4, times x minus the x value, 4. And this is the equation of a perpendicular line. Okay? Let's do a couple more examples, shall we? So that's all you have to understand about parallel and perpendicular lines. Once you know the the point slope form of an equation, then you can, and you know that the slope of a parallel line is the same, and you know that the slope of a perpendicular line is the opposite reciprocal. Okay? So let's do this. Write the equations of two lines. One that is parallel and one that is perpendicular to the line y equals -8/13 x plus 4, and both pass through the point -8 and +5. Okay, so we have two lines, two different lines. They both cross over each other. They both pass through the point -8 and 5, but one of them is parallel to this line right here, and the other one is perpendicular to that line. Okay, let's do the parallel line first. The parallel line, has the same slope as this. So this is going to have a slope of -8/13. The perpendicular line, is going to have a slope that is the opposite reciprocal. Since this is negative, the perpendicular slope is going to be positive. Because this is 8/13, the perpendicular is going to be 13/8. So it's going to be positive 13/8. Both of these lines pass through the point -8 and 5. And so we're going to write them in point slope form. Y minus the y value, 5, equals slope, -8/13, times x minus the x value. Well, the x value is -8, so minus -8 means +8. So this is the equation of the parallel line that we're looking for. The perpendicular line is still going to be y minus 5 equals, but instead of this slope, it's going to have the perpendicular slope, the opposite reciprocal, which is 13 over 8. 13 over 8 times x minus negative 8, which would be x plus 8. And so this is the equation of the line perpendicular to this line and passes through the point negative 8 and 5. And then if we needed to, we could then take both of these lines and we could turn them into slope-intercept form if we wanted to, but we're going to leave them here for now. All right, that's all you have to know for parallel and perpendicular lines. It's a pretty easy concept. You just have to practice it a lot so that it sticks in your brain. If you don't practice it a lot, you're just not going to remember it, okay? So make sure you do all the practice that I give you, okay? We'll see you for the last part. In the last part, we're going to talk about graphing equations of lines, okay? All right, see you then.